It's 11 o'clock. I'm Dale Shornack. Before J.C. Dugard, a hitchhiker in Red Bluff was kidnapped and held captive for almost a decade. Colleen Stan lived in a box under the bed of her captor, the target of sadistic fantasies, psychological torture, even forced to sign a contract giving him all rights to her body. A movie based on her experiences airs this weekend on Lifetime, Girl in the Box. Christina traveled to Red Bluff to talk to Colleen about the movie and her life after captivity.
The case is decades old, but the horror of what happened to Colleen Stan has not diminished. In 1977, Colleen Stan was 20 years old. She was hitchhiking on I-5 outside Red Bluff and was picked up by a young couple. They had a baby with them. Colleen thought they looked safe.
The husband looked kind of like dirty, like he maybe had just got off work, and his young wife, and she was holding their 7-month-old baby.
Once in the car, the couple drove her into the country. Colleen was overpowered, handcuffed, and a homemade box was put over her head. She was taken to this home in Red Bluff, where she was led to the basement. Instruments of torture were waiting.
From now on, there is no more Colleen Stan. You will answer to Kay. You will address me as master and my wife as ma'am.
What is this?
It's a contract. It formalizes your status as my slave.
You're only here to take the pain.
A movie based on Colleen's experience airs this weekend on Lifetime Channel. The first time I heard of Colleen Stan, I was a reporter at the ABC affiliate in Reading. It was 1989, and I really wanted to interview her. I looked for her, but she didn't want to be found, and people didn't leave digital footprints like they do today. 20 years later, J.C. Dugard is found, and I decide to look for Colleen again. This time I spend a week searching online. I find a posting on an obscure website under a pseudonym, and I reach out. There's just enough detail that I think it might be her. It is. She reaches back, we talk, she agrees to an interview. That was 2009. Today will be my third interview with Colleen Stan.
Oh, good to see you.
Are you going to watch this movie?
I have it set up to record it. I may watch it that night. I know a couple of my friends have said they will come over and watch it with me, and one is actually my psychiatrist guy that I see, and he said he would come over and watch it with me. I'll probably cry when I watch it.
It's very intense. Addison Timlin plays Colleen. And when Colleen visited the set, the young actress talked about the vulnerability she felt just while shooting the torture scenes.
She was actually in the basement, and she was naked and blindfolded and gagged and handcuffed, and she had a wig on, and so they couldn't take these things off in between takes because it would take too much time. So she just had to stay like this for several hours.
Colleen lived that nightmare for 7 years, much of it in a box under Cameron Hooker's bed.
I think the thing that shocks people the most when they hear about your case, I mean, yes, the torture shocks them and the sexual abuse, but having to spend all that time in that box under his bed. I mean, what would you think about in there?
In your mind, you can go anywhere and you can do anything, you know. And I've heard a lot of POWs say that they did the same thing I did. And you just have to go someplace else in your mind. You have to think good thoughts and nice thoughts. And I thought of my family. I went on picnics with my family. I went on holidays with my family. I went to good and nice places.
Colleen says she isn't religious, but she truly feels God spoke to her during those dark times in the basement.
Well, he was torturing me one night down in the basement, and he kind of slithered up next to me and he says, "Go ahead and scream, I'll cut your vocal cords, I've done it before." And immediately God spoke to me and said, "Do not scream, he is telling you the truth." I did what God said. I didn't scream. I never screamed when he tortured me because I didn't want him to cut my vocal cords.
Her captor's reference to doing it before is mentioned in the film, and Colleen says references another young woman who went missing before Colleen's capture. It is the only time she cries during our interview.
I don't want to cry. You know, I feel so bad for Marliz, and you know, I think because she was the first victim, and things just got totally out of control. And he did the things that he did to her, and eventually he choked her to death.
Marie Elizabeth Sponicky was never found, but Colleen saw her every day.
He kept this picture of her, and in this space in between the pedestal of the bed and the actual box that he kept me in under his waterbed, there was a space, and he had my purse in there and my personal things, I guess, in it. And then he had this picture of this woman that he had propped up against my purse. So every time I got in and out of the box, I saw this picture of this woman.
Only after her escape did Colleen find out the woman in the picture was Sponicky.
I wasn't his first victim. You know, I was just the one that survived.
Colleen says the movie will bring up difficult memories, but she already has painful daily reminders of her time in captivity. Spinal injuries from the stretcher she endured, and a shoulder injury from the hanging hooks. But her spirit is light, and she's willing to face the darkness again, although dramatized now, if only to give others some hope.
There is still life after such a tragic thing, and I hope that that's what my story is to people, that they will see that, you know, we all have some kind of trauma or tragedy in our lives at some point. And I just hope that they can see that, you know, I made it through this, that they can get through whatever is going on in their lives, and, you know, that things can be some kind of semblance of normal again.
Colleen's captors were Cameron and Janice Hooker. Cameron was sentenced to 104 years in prison, though he's scheduled for a parole hearing on February 19th of 2022. Janice Hooker was given immunity for her testimony against her husband. Again, the movie Girl in the Box airs on Lifetime tomorrow. You can check local listings for the time.